paid for a hotel, paid for a rent.
And then also, if you have any questions, Jeff, I don't know if it's easier for you if we just put them in the chat box or use the question thing and then we can ask them later, or if you prefer people jump in with their questions as we go. It's up to you.
Yeah, I will pause for questions along the way. You can also type your questions into chat if you are concerned that you will lose them by the time I pause. And I'll go over to chat and I'll catch up with whatever questions you guys have asked. And it's possible that you'll ask a question that's more in-depth or really specific to your situation. If that's the case, we'll just punt that to the end of the conversation so that we have some more time to dig into it. So number one, I'll pause along the way. Number two, feel free to put questions in chat. And number three, we'll spend time at the end as well if you have some detailed questions you want to talk through.
Awesome. Okay, so as you can all see, this is Jeff Kelly. He is from Asset Labs Marketing. They are a local renting business, a go-to for all of your online needs, websites, marketing, and social media. And today he's going to talk to us about LinkedIn. So Jeff, if you are ready to go, we can probably just get started, I think.
Great. Okay, give me just one moment.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully you're going to start seeing the presentation anytime. Somebody give me a head nod when you do.
I can see it,
Okay.
Jeff.
Good deal. Okay, just a second. Let me get the chat back up. All right, what we're going to talk about today is how to leverage LinkedIn as someone who is involved with a nonprofit. This is, I think LinkedIn is one of the most powerful business networking platforms in the world. And that's kind of common sense when somebody says it, but we're used to using platforms like Facebook and Instagram for social media. Twitter, it's possible, looking at the demographics here, that we have a Snapchat user among us. But LinkedIn is really a place where people do business, and their head is in their business context when they use LinkedIn. And so it represents a really powerful opportunity to connect with people kind of in that business mindset. So that's why we're going to talk about it. My history is that I graduated from a corporate America career at small companies you've heard of, like Expedia and Microsoft and Amazon. And so LinkedIn was what I would consider an essential tool for me. I was in technology and I moved into management. And as soon as I moved into management and started going down the leadership path, LinkedIn was incredibly valuable because I could use LinkedIn to meet people I didn't know but I wanted to know, or find people that had specific roles or specific expertise. I could use it to recruit. I could use it to show people why they would want to work with me on my team. it was a way for me to share information about myself with somebody who didn't know me yet. For example, if I was going to have an initial meeting with somebody, I could share my LinkedIn profile and they could scope me out and they could have a level of comfort with me before we actually got on the phone. So there's all these different unique uses of LinkedIn in this business context. We're going to focus those kinds of things on the nonprofit context today. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I live in Renton with my lovely wife and kids. We do a lot of nonprofit work. We're a marketing company. And so we focus on businesses, nonprofits, and events as our 3 areas of focus in marketing. And we have some clients in the room, for example, so you're in friendly company. And we provide, for many of our clients, we provide online marketing services and strategy services. So in that regard, what I want to do is talk about something that is important to you before we jump into LinkedIn. And typically I would not do this in a conversation like this, but it is very, very timely. My team's working with lots of nonprofits right now to switch their fundraisers, their auctions and their dinners and things like that to online and virtual formats. If you are a nonprofit that has one of those events on the schedule that has not been canceled, or you know a nonprofit that has a fundraiser, a gala, an auction, that sort of thing that is built around an in-person event, and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do to bring in revenue this year because you can't hold that in-person event, we are helping nonprofits make that switch. We can bring the technology piece, we can bring the entertainment piece, the MC, the structure, how you run an auction online, we can bring all of that to a nonprofit so that they can continue to raise their revenue and generate revenue even if they can't get together in these kinds of events. So this is I'm going to pour a bunch of LinkedIn knowledge into you, but the one thing I would like you to take away in the broader context is that if your organization or an organization generates 30% plus of their revenue from in-person fundraisers, we can help them maintain that revenue stream as a major revenue stream even when we can't all get together in person. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side and we're going to talk about LinkedIn. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. First up, why is LinkedIn important? I've talked a little bit already about how people use it, but we're going to talk about why it's really about that. Next, we'll talk about how people and nonprofits use LinkedIn. We'll talk about best practices for your personal profiles, for your business, or in this case, nonprofit, but you'll hear me use the term business to refer to you as nonprofits because we're all just businesses. Best practices for business pages, best practices for networking on LinkedIn, how to leverage your network. This is where it really starts to get good, where leverage means get an advantage for your organization or get donations for your organization or get a resource for your organization. And then we'll talk about what the next forward-looking steps are for using LinkedIn for you. Like what is it that you should do today or this week or this month, okay? So for those of you sharing video, I'll be able to see your head nods, your yeses, your nos, your I have no idea what you're talking about, Jeffs. If anybody else has feedback along the way, just drop it into chat so I kind of know where you're at. So the first thing we're going to talk about is why LinkedIn is important. This is just to set some context. Number one, there's 660 million or so LinkedIn accounts in 200 countries. So whenever we talk about the importance of a social media platform, we start here so that we can understand how many people there are using a social media network. Of those 660 million members, every Fortune 500 company is represented. So what this tells you is that LinkedIn is a social media platform for business, and it's very well represented in corporate America. 45-ish% of LinkedIn users earn more than $75,000 per year. This is an understanding of this gives you a little information on the career progression of the folks that are using LinkedIn, right? And if you back up and think about other social media platforms, every social media platform is different. Majority of the users are men, and that's somewhat reflecting of the the demographics of managers and leaders at companies, as you would expect. And millennials are present. Millennials are on LinkedIn. They're here. And there are a surprisingly a large amount of LinkedIn users already. So what we're going to talk about next is ultimately how you put together a LinkedIn profile, a LinkedIn presence that's going to represent your business and your person well, and then how you can leverage that for your organization. So how people and nonprofits use LinkedIn. This is still context, but I know that you're in varying levels of your current LinkedIn use now. So let's talk about how people use LinkedIn. People use LinkedIn as their online resume. That's how we all started when we started using LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is quite old now. I mean, I don't know how many years LinkedIn has been around, but in the scheme of things, my online LinkedIn resume went up really early. People use it to show themselves and good things about themselves. They use it for job searching. They use it to keep in touch with other people that they know, in places they've worked in the past. One kind of gap in corporate America in particular is that when you move from one company to another, your entire social network at work changes, right? And so LinkedIn is a way where I can kind of bridge that gap. And I can say, I mean, just today, there's a gentleman I hired at Expedia into a technical role probably like 7 or 8 years ago. And today he announced he'd been promoted to VP. And I hired him as a manager. And so I got to have those claps with him. Well, I haven't been in corporate America for 5 years. I've been in marketing for 5 years, but I still get to have that connection with him, even though I don't see him. Another way people use LinkedIn is they use the groups feature of LinkedIn. Groups are a lot like the same concept of Facebook groups, if you're familiar with those, but I'd say that they're a lot less prevalent. LinkedIn has kind of pushed groups to the back of the interface instead of pushing them forward like Facebook has. But it's the same idea. Groups are based on topic or geography. There's a Renton LinkedIn group. I'm the owner of a group called Multi-Potentialites in LinkedIn. So that there's this group concept, and you can get access to people through LinkedIn that you wouldn't normally be able to message directly and interact with directly because you're not connected to them, but groups allow you to do that. And I think one really unique part of LinkedIn is that it allows me and other people to get feedback from others on essentially on their reputation and on what they're known for. And so people can endorse you for skills, people can give you recommendations, people can interact with the content that you share on your feed. And that's a good way to see it coming back at you and see what other people think of you. Now, nonprofits use LinkedIn in different ways than people do, which is intuitive, right? That one of the most prevalent uses of LinkedIn, if you put your company or business hat on, is for recruiting. As a business, this is for recruiting staff. As a nonprofit, you're recruiting staff and volunteers. You may also be recruiting board members. You can do all these things through LinkedIn. It also gives you a place to share information about your organization, about your business, with people who may be interested in doing work with you, either as an employee, as a donor, as a partner. And it's a place where you can do fundraising. And when I say fundraising is a large process that includes identifying potential donors, engaging with potential donors, telling them your story. Ultimately, hopefully it ends up with in checks or in-kind donations. So the fundraising part of LinkedIn, we're talking about the upfront process of identification of potential donors and engaging with them at the very start of the conversation. That's really the fundraising part we're talking about. And that's really equivalent in the business context to sales, right? If I had replaced the word nonprofits here with the word business, then instead of the word fundraising, it would say sales. If you are a nonprofit that provides service to other businesses or to individuals, not as part of your mission, but as part of how you fund your organization. So I'll give you sorry, I'm going down a little tangent, but I'll give you a very specific example. John Vulcan Academy has a location in Kent, and they have Price Co. Furniture, and they have Academy Lawn Service, and they have Academy Movers. They're using those nonprofit businesses to fund their nonprofit. So if you are selling a product or service like furniture or lawn care to help fund your organization, then alongside fundraising here, you could put the word sales. So fundraising and sales are really the same fundamental process you're moving through. At least that's how I think about it as a marketer. And so LinkedIn is a fantastic place for you to be working that same kind of beginning fundraising process. And you'll see more as we go through as to why that is. And again, I'll just back up one slide. This is part of the reason why fundraising and board member recruitment and staff recruitment is a thing you can do on LinkedIn. Is because there's hundreds of millions of people. They come from corporate America. They have a certain level of annual income. You know, I mean, like this is just a place where you have the right kind of people for some of these things that you're trying to achieve. That's why this is an interesting social network for nonprofits, because the same thing we would talk about in social media marketing for any business or any product or service or event. Which social media platforms have the people you want to reach? Those are the ones we want to go focus on. So now we're going to talk about your personal profile, your business profile, and how to do networking. I tried to kind of lay the groundwork for you on how LinkedIn is used and the fact that it's a relevant platform. So let's talk about your personal profile. The most important thing for your personal profile is that you fill out everything. It doesn't mean you need to include that, you know, I mean, like my first job was working at Loadout at, what was it? It was Eagle Hardware before Lowe's came into town. Lowe's came in and bought Eagle Hardware if you're local to the Puget Sound region. So I was that guy when you bought 25 bags of cement and you didn't want to put them in your car. You brought that little slip with you to the back of the store and you handed it to me and I had to lift those 80-pound bags of concrete. So that was my first job. And that is not a job. I mean, like my career is not in hardware or cement or construction. And so that job doesn't fit with what I want to be showing on LinkedIn. So when I say complete everything about your LinkedIn profile, I don't mean you have to give me every single detail of your life. I mean, I want a picture of you and I want a profile picture across the top and I want to see your experience and I want to see your education and I want to see the volunteer things you've done. I want to see the certifications you have. I want to see the papers you've written or press you've achieved. Go do all of those sections and complete it. The more complete your personal profile is, the more likely that LinkedIn is going to show it in a search, and the better impression it's going to leave with someone about who you are. I'll give you a side tip right here. If you are struggling to find a header image, right? It goes just the image across the top of the profile. And you'd like something more professional than what you have, you can use Unsplash, unsplash.com. And you can use Unsplash for all sorts of things, but Unsplash has professional photographer grade photos that are free to use for commercial use. You can use those photos on your website, your social media, all over the place. But one word of warning, once you use Unsplash, you'll start to see those pictures everywhere. You will not be the only people using those pictures, but I see those marketing photos used all over the place, even by national brands sometimes. That's a little side note. So once you have a complete profile for yourself, you're going to want to start to post things to your profile. And this is the part where most people fall off. So we're only at bullet 2 here. Please stick with me. Come in at least once a month. Open link, put it on your calendar, put 45 minutes on your calendar once a month for LinkedIn. Come on in here and post something. Just give me something from the last 90 days that is success, that is a representation of your success as a person in your career. If you go search for Jeffrey Kelly right now on LinkedIn, which I'd welcome you to do, you would find that today I posted about an event, a global event we did that we planned in 6 weeks. We had 1,900 people from 81 countries all around the world. It was planned and organized and pitched and run 6 weeks. That's a success story for me personally and for our business. And so there's a post up there today about this as a success story. Now that's a really clear, big example. These can be really small things that you post as well. This could be, hey, we're so excited that we you know, we are in some crazy times right now, and here's this little step forward for our organization that we were able to achieve even in these crazy times. This is not necessarily you tooting the horn of your nonprofit. This is you tooting your horn as a professional in your career. I would also recommend that you write an article at least every 3 months. There's the idea of a post and there's the idea of an article. And when you go into LinkedIn and you click to make a post, right down below, it's going to say, do you want to write an article? So once a quarter, get in there and write about something that's within your expertise. The reason these two things are important is exactly the same reason why you would hear me say, you need to post to your social media profile at least once a month, no matter what, even if nothing's going on. You've got to keep that social media profile warm. It needs to look like you are there and you are participating. And if you just do these two things right here, you're going to separate yourself. You're probably going to be in the top 40% of profiles, top 30% of profiles on LinkedIn, just right there. If you complete the whole thing, you post something once a month, and you write an article once a quarter. So now that you've got this great profile moving, it's time to start building your network. The easiest way to do that is to connect LinkedIn to your email, your business email account, and let it scrape your email addresses and then recommend people to you from your email addresses that you can connect with. Now, you may have privacy concerns about that, and if you do, simply do not use this tactic. But this is the fastest way to let LinkedIn identify people that you already know and recommend them to you as connections to your network. The way they do that is that when you sign up for LinkedIn, you give them your email address, right? And so if I then let them into my email account to see the email addresses of people I interact with, LinkedIn can immediately match that to people that already have accounts. You do not have to do it this way. You can certainly just start searching for people by name that you know. You can search through the recommended connections and click the connect button for the people you do know. But if you're looking to grow your profile significantly, your network significantly, this is one of the best ways to do it. I do recommend that you do this on that monthly time you've put on your calendar. You should be, go put a post in there, go write an article once a quarter, and go through contacts and add new contacts to your profile. This is not a place where you're going to be sharing, this weekend I'm going to be away from my home from 9:45 to 10:15 if anyone would like to break in. That's not what LinkedIn is for. You're doing that in Facebook and Instagram and other places, right? So the reason I say that is because I recommend that people accept and invite people to connect with and accept invitations from people you only marginally know. That's totally okay. As well as people you want to know, but do not know now. So for example, when I was at Expedia and I was looking for a promotion and I was on, I wanted to get to the next tier of leadership and management, I started connecting with everybody I could find that would connect with me who had that next level of leadership as their current role. And the reason is because I wanted to see what they were posting about and sharing and talking about and who they were connected to, because I wanted that to be me. So since you're not going to be sharing all these super personal things on LinkedIn, this is a place for you to build a network that you can leverage as a person. And so don't feel bad about connecting with people that you don't know. Now, do try to connect with real human beings. If somebody's profile looks completely fake and they send it to you and it's just like, no way, well, okay, try to connect with real humans. But other than that, be really open to connecting with people on LinkedIn. That's how you're going to build this as a resource. Okay, so now we're going to move on from your personal profile. Before we do that, I would like to give you an opportunity to ask questions. So we're thinking about LinkedIn personally. We're about to go think about LinkedIn from the nonprofit or business perspective. So if you have questions, feel free to unmute and ask them or drop them in chat. And if any questions pop up, we'll answer them here about your personal use, and then we'll move forward.
Hi, Jeff. I'm just going to bust in here with a question. Can you give us a few more examples of a post versus an article? Like how, when you say write an article, I feel immediately intimidated and writer's block.
Perfect. I can totally solve that for you. So when you go in there to create a post and you say, yes, I want to create an article because Jeff told me to, the bar there, it's a really, really low bar. It's an image of some kind that's going to go on the top. And you could, if you don't have a picture of what you want to write about, boom, unsplash. And then it's like, I mean, 300 words is fine. A few paragraphs. So for example, maybe you are doing a lot of Zoom meetings and you wanted to share a little bit of your Zoom knowledge with the world. You could go in there and you could write a few paragraphs about how you are using Zoom. And so, for example, what would I say? I was like, well, look, this virtual background thing, it's important. Do you all want to see where I really am? Let me see if I can flip that so you can see. This, the virtual background thing is really important, and it's really good to leverage if you are not confident in the background that's behind you. Now, I'm totally confident in the background behind me. It's a bunch of medals and awards, right? But if you didn't want to be sharing this, gosh, use this great feature in Zoom, you know, boom, virtual backgrounds. So maybe your article in LinkedIn is just literally 3 paragraphs. It's 3 tips about using Zoom and how you're using Zoom. That's the bar. This is really, really low. Do get your punctuation and spelling right. Do try to get the grammar correct. Do use bullet points like you would if you actually wanted somebody to read an email, right? Because they're going to scan. Anybody who reads it is going to scan. But really, this is not about reading and getting people to read it. It's about the image you're presenting. If you come to my profile, you'll see there's a space for 4 articles to be shown on your public profile, and there's 4 articles there that I've created. That's what this is about. Because you might get, I mean, when I have probably over 1,000 connections in LinkedIn. When I write an article, I get maybe 5 people to read them, unless it's something really remarkable. So it's not about people reading the article. It's about the presentation of your profile and the professionalism of your profile. All right, ask another one if anybody has another question about the personal side.
This is Kim. Do you have to have a, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but do you have to have a personal profile before you can also have a nonprofit profile?
Good question. Yes, you need to have a personal profile to be able to create a company page. You do not have to have a completed personal profile to create a company page. You just need an account, and then you can go create a company. And you do not want to set your personal account up as your nonprofit. You want your personal account to be your name. You'll create a company for the nonprofit if you have not already. That's a classic. I mean, we learned that lesson on Facebook. I'm sure you still see businesses every now and then there are people in Facebook instead of pages. So we want to make sure we keep that straight. Any other questions before we roll on to the business side of this? Okay, I'm going to roll on. So now let's talk about the business page. The business page is also called the company. I think it's called the company page in LinkedIn. But the concept here is that now we're talking about the business and how does a business live in LinkedIn. So you can create a company page, and I recommend that you do, for your nonprofit. So for example, there is an Asset Lab marketing company. And in my experience list as a person, I put my role. My role is marketing guru at Asset Lab Marketing. When that company exists and I type in Asset Lab Marketing, it's going to say, hey, did you mean this company? And I get to say yes. And now my profile is linked to this company page, this nonprofit page that you have created. The principles here are pretty much the same. Once you have that company page, you want to complete everything. Same idea. You're going to want to you want to get your logo up there. You want to get an image that represents your organization on there. You want to post, because you can actually make posts on the company page. You want to post about major milestones, about hiring, about board member recruiting. Again, same kind of idea here. Post at least once a month on the company page. What this company page is used for is it's essentially a business directory listing for your company. where people can see, oh, look, here's this nonprofit. Oh, I can see the description about what they do and who they're serving. Gosh, look, they just got this new board member from wherever, right? That's really cool. And oh, look, they had a big fundraising event and they reached their goal, and that was like 6 months ago. Cool. You can kind of just scroll through. This is a place where people can scope out your nonprofit. And they're doing it while they're in their corporate mindset, their work career mindset, which is a completely different mindset than everything you'll do on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else, right? Even on your website, people are all over the place when they hit your website. We know what context people are in when they're using LinkedIn. And so you want that to be a professional look. It doesn't mean you have to spend a whole lot of time or money creating anything, but you want that to be a professional look. That's why posting there monthly is a thing, because you're showing that you are here and you're present on LinkedIn and that you're engaged. The bar here again is low. Any kind of success for your organization, any kind of work with your beneficiaries, any kind of events that you participated in. You're trying to represent a professional view of your organization. You don't have to be presenting major, huge milestones. Yay, we just hit this fundraising mark for the first time. That's too high. That's a great thing to be able to share, but you can share small things. Remember, if I'm a business, if I'm Asset Lab Marketing, as I'm filling out this page, I'm thinking about recruiting and I'm thinking about sales. And so I want to show that my business is actually doing something and that we're actually here and there's a reason to come work here, or there's a reason to come be involved with us as a customer. Next up, you want all of your staff and volunteers and board members to go to their personal profiles and either indicate their volunteer experience or their professional experience with your nonprofit, which is your company page, and you want that link to occur. The reason this is important is because when you're on the company page, I can click and see who works at this company or has worked at this company, which is your nonprofit. I can then scope them out. Gosh, I'd love to see your board members in that list. I'd love to see your staff. I'd love to see your executive director, your director of development, whoever you have. I'd love to see your entire team there with a LinkedIn profile, literally the entire team, including your depending on your organization, you have volunteers that work in different ways. At least your top tier of volunteers need to be there. If you're a chamber, your ambassadors need to have a LinkedIn profile. You might not need the person who came one time to a downtown rent and cleanup. It's not worth your time to go ask them to create a LinkedIn profile and link it in their volunteer experience. But gosh, there is a certain point there where they're involved enough in the organization where you want them to connect their profile. You want them to represent your experience. The reason is that that's a whole bunch of people now that are all associated with your company page that can all be sharing the content that you create, either personally or as a company. And if somebody is there to scope you out, a nice, strong list of people representing your organization is a great thing to have listed there. If you have a nonprofit page and there's no personal profiles linked to it, you're simply missing an opportunity for people who are scoping you out. When you write your articles as a leader for the nonprofit, this is a place where you want to share those articles. So if you're in a leadership role of the nonprofit or you're writing about nonprofit stuff at your nonprofit, again, I'm trying to handle the scale, the size difference we have here. If you're a multi-service center, that's a large organization, right? I know there's some of you who are 1 or 2 person nonprofits in the room as well. If you're somebody writing about the nonprofit or writing in the expertise of the nonprofit space, you're writing an article, that's probably a great thing to share on that company page for the nonprofit as well. If your organization is really big, there might be too much of that going on. You might have to traffic control it a little bit. But the smaller you are, if you're literally a 1-person nonprofit or a 2-person nonprofit, when you write that article on your professional page, as long as it's related to the nonprofit, you go to the company page and you share it on that company page as well. Remember, this is about keeping that profile looking fresh and looking complete and looking like you have a professional presence. You can also use LinkedIn when you publish a blog article. Okay, so what's that mean? I'm going to back up a little bit and we're going to talk about content marketing for just a second. So One thing that you should all be doing is creating at least one new page of content on your website per month. And that page of content should be in the space, right? I mean, it's on your nonprofit website. It should be related to what you're doing. This is important because of a whole bunch of reasons, including search engines love websites that come out with new content, right? As long as a search engine sees continuing new content coming out, a search engine like Google, and when we say a search engine, we mean Google, because they do so many searches. They're gonna rank that website more highly, even if you do nothing else. And we say that based on our own experimentation. When you create a website article, you should also be creating social media posts, a Facebook post that goes on your organization page. You should also be pushing that out. Maybe you do a Facebook Live video or a YouTube video. Hey, we have this great new article about such and such. You should also push that to LinkedIn. And the way you do that is you basically write a mini article in LinkedIn. So like maybe you wrote 500 words in that article on your website. Maybe you write maybe you boil it down to half of that or less for LinkedIn. Same article, you're just going to write a LinkedIn version. And then at the end, you say, read the full article here, and you link off to your website. So when you create a piece of content for your website, please, please, please take the opportunity to leverage that. That was a big investment. You created a piece of content. We want to leverage that content. Leverage it on social, leverage it in your email newsletter, leverage it on your LinkedIn, either personal profile or company profile, based on what's appropriate. This is about getting the most out of what you're creating. And gosh, if now you've spent the time to put something on the website, you almost got a freebie if you're going to put that on your personal or company page, because you're just writing a mini version of what you just wrote. Now you're not having to write as many things, and you're getting more leverage off of one thing. And that's what we do all the time in content marketing. So if we're working on search engine optimization or content marketing for a client, then we're creating a content pipeline. Even if we're just doing social media work, how can I share these social media posts coming out? What can we relate them to that we've already created to leverage that so you're not doing so much work? Okay, I'm going to pause here. Diane's got a question in the chat, which I'll read. If others have questions as well, feel free to drop them in chat. Give me just a second, and then I'll have you guys unmute if you have other questions you want to ask. So there's a question in here from Gabe. What if you volunteer in lots of different industries? How, and I'm paraphrasing Gabe, so if I miss an important part, just unmute and holler at me. How do you choose what to list on your profile? Should he, she only list the jobs or volunteering that are relevant to the organization or the business from a recruiting standpoint? Gabe, are you thinking about you being recruited, or are you thinking about seeking employees and volunteers?
Yeah, so my background with LinkedIn has been more of like from your standpoint in the professional category, where you use it to kind of build your resume and put your resume out, and then use that as a network, as like a center of influence, basically, to then market yourself. And if I'm wanting to either change careers or get into an industry or switch from private sector to public sector, whatever, just using it as more of like a marketing tool. So I have a million different jobs that I've worked since high school to now. I'm not going to list, working at the tire shop seasonally at Costco. I'm not going to list, when I was working seasonally doing whatever, but just making sure that we use it as I use it as a tool from a marketing standpoint. But from a nonprofit standpoint, I think it's important if someone's looking to maybe not headhunt, but maybe look at what everyone else is doing. Who are they using as consultants? How can we use this to the best of our ability without clogging it full of like all of these things? But like you were saying, use it as a tool to, from a marketing standpoint or from a recruiting standpoint, what would you suggest? Should I have one that's maybe more for the private sector? Should I have one more that's geared towards nonprofits? that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I totally understand. So this is a question about the personal profile. And so what do you list on your personal profile if you are trying to attract a new kind of job or career or type of person to be coming to your profile? So here's what I would say. Do not create more than one profile. You only want one. The next thing I would say is if you're shifting your personal career, you want to represent that with education, with articles, with posts, with any unpaid work that you've done that you could list as volunteering or some other way. Represent that on your profile. Don't like remove everything from your profile and try to just represent the new stuff. Keep that old stuff. It has value. It's where you came from, right? Like the reason I love hiring folks right out of college is because I can teach them my ways and I can get them right into the tools and work that this team is using and this company is using, right? They're not coming with that baggage of, oh, well, but you know, we do it this way at my last company. Okay, I don't care. Welcome to my world, right? But I know when I hire somebody right out of college that I'll be real honest with you, their communication skills in corporate America or in a corporate environment, they're gonna suck. And I'm gonna have to teach them, and there's gonna be failure, and we're gonna have to work through that failure so that they learn how to do professional emails and they can express themselves clearly and they can deal with hostility in differing opinions and still get their opinion out so that we can consider it, right? I can see that in a LinkedIn profile based on where you've been and what you've done. And so we don't want to remove those things, even if you're switching industries. Now, if I'm going from, like when I went from Eagle Hardware to whatever that next job was, to whatever that next job was into technology, I still needed to represent that I had had a job before. So I still wanted to represent that past experience. Now, there may be things in there that really don't make sense. Okay, remove them if they really don't make sense. But the point being, use posts, use articles, use volunteer work or unpaid work you've done or education to represent the fact that you're ready for that different kind of job or different kind of sector. Okay, next question on here. Diane asked on the website on a new page of content per month, as in a brand new page. Yes, as in a brand new blog article would be fine. It doesn't have to be, I mean, if you're in the WordPress world, there's pages and there's posts. A new blog article would be fine. If we were to have a conversation about what you were trying to achieve as an organization, then I could give you real specifics on what kind of content to add to your site. But ultimately, we need at least a new page, a new URL on that site every month. And then Kim asked, so more than one person can post to a business page. Yes, absolutely. You will create a company page and you can set up other people as having the ability to post to that company page. All right, any other questions on personal profile or business profiles before we roll on? Okay. All right, are you all able to see my screen again? Okay, I'm getting head nods, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about best practices for networking. Number one, connect with people you work with. That's the simple, easiest thing you can do. Just start every time you log in, at least once a month, go to the connections page and start accepting, oh, I know that person. Oh, I recognize that person's face. Yeah, okay, yep. Boom, 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 boom. Hit that connect button. Number two, go find people that are strategic contacts. I used to say this back in my corporate days all the time. There are people in your career that you may not personally like, but you want to be connected with. Or you might not know them, but you want to be connected with them. Go find those people on LinkedIn. If you're looking for a board member that is in marketing, go find marketing people on LinkedIn and start clicking that connect button. And in the little thing that says, why are you connecting, say, I'm looking to learn more about networking to help my nonprofit. Boom, just start hitting that connect button and putting that little message in there to these people that are strategic contacts for you. Number 3 thing you can do to network with people on LinkedIn is to interact with those strategic contacts. So let's say you connected with me because you're hoping to recruit a marketing person to your board, or you're looking to hire a marketing person. If I post something, you want to interact with it. You want to like it, you want to comment on it, you want to share it, you want to do something. Why? Because I'm going to see that when I come into LinkedIn. I'm going to see that Natalie just shared that. I'm going to see that Kathy just commented. I'm going to see Kathy's comment. We might have a conversation going all of a sudden. I'm going to see that Angela liked it or shared it. Right? Interacting with people on LinkedIn is a great way to build a relationship with people on LinkedIn. And that is something you can then leverage outside of LinkedIn. So if you'd commented on a couple things that I'd posted over time, and then you commented, hey, Jeff, I would love to get on the phone to ask you some questions. Well, gosh, I'm much more likely to engage with you now because I know your name. I've seen you interacting with me. You've broken that ice, and you didn't have to ask me to break the ice because we were connected, right? Boom, you could see my stuff. Boom, you could comment. That was all, like, I can do that. I can achieve that all by myself. I don't need Jeff to say, yes, we can have a conversation other than that initial contact, that initial connection. I also recommend that you add to your email signatures, your LinkedIn profile should be there somewhere. Because if I am a LinkedIn person and I have an email from you and I see that, boom, I'll go hit that and I'll go connect with you, and that helps grow your network. You can also put that on your website, wherever you're listing your staff or your team or your key volunteers, your board members. On your website, next to every one of those people, should be a little LinkedIn icon or a link to their LinkedIn profile. The reason being, if I'm a LinkedIn person and I come and I see who your board members are, who your leadership team is, boom, and I know you guys, I might just pop in there and I might go boom, 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 connect, 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 connect. These are ways that people can be growing your network for you instead of you having to be the one going to find people and hit that connect button. And then just in general, this is back to that strategic contacts, but I'm not talking about the strategic contacts now. Like and interact with the things you see in your feed. So when you first log into LinkedIn, you're going to see a feed just like on Facebook. Whenever I log in, I just scroll down like 2 or 3 pages and I just skim what's there. And if there's anything there that's interesting to me, or if it's a particular person I care about, I'll go interact with that somehow. I'll like it, I'll share it, I'll comment on it. And you don't have to go drain it. You don't have to go spend 20 minutes like on Facebook scrolling through your feed trying to find something interesting. Just do a little bit. And this is a good way to be kind of in just a shotgun approach, interacting with the world of your connections, as opposed to being strategic, right? If I'm trying to be really strategic, let's say I'm trying to work on a business partner, some person I'm trying to collaborate with, I might literally go search for their name every time I log into LinkedIn to see if there's anything there I can interact with. That's the strategic contact approach. This is I logged in, I'm going to just look through and see if there's anything to do there. In corporate, it was amazing how people knew what I was doing and I didn't even know who they were. I would hire people and they would know me, and they would bring this thing up that happened 6 months ago. And I'm like, how did you even know? Or they'd bring up people like, hey, did you ever work with Diane Dobson? I'm like, I haven't seen Diane in like 5 years. What are you talking about? Oh, well, I saw on LinkedIn that you were connected to Diane. Oh, yeah. So as you start using it, as you grow that network, you'll be really amazed how people use it in their professional career context to scope you out and learn more about you and your organization before they meet you. You won't even know it. So as somebody in leadership, that'll happen much more than if you're an entry-level worker, right? Because when you're in leadership, now people are seeking you and you're a strategic contact for some people. Okay, so we've talked about why LinkedIn is a thing. We've talked about your personal profile, your business profile, and how to use it for networking. So I'll pause after this and we can ask questions. How to leverage the network. You'll notice that on this slide, be bold is in bold. And I wrote it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That is the most important thing for you to take away from this slide. You can shut the presentation down right now if you're done and you need to leave. Be bold on LinkedIn. What does that mean? If you need marketing help, I see that thumbs up, thank you. If you need marketing help and you are a nonprofit, you're a leader at a nonprofit, go find marketing people and ask them for help. Go find a marketing group and post in there. Hey, this is the problem we're facing. Can anybody help me? Be bold. The worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna send somebody a message, or you're gonna comment on a post, or you're gonna go put something in a group and nobody responds to you. That is, I mean, somebody might respond to you and say, bug off. Okay, that's probably the worst. But if you're being bold, you haven't lost anything. You're putting yourself out there so that you can gain, right? Maybe you're looking to recruit a staff member. Maybe you're looking to fundraise. Maybe you're looking for board members. Maybe you're looking for a company to partner with. Whatever it might be, maybe you're looking to connect with somebody you don't know and you think is, tiers away from you or in another level in your world. Be bold. That boldness will be rewarded, because most people are not being bold. And this applies to life too, in the nonprofit world, in my opinion. Be bold. You could literally just call me today and say, hey, Jeff, I'm a nonprofit. We're trying to achieve this. Can I get 30 minutes of your time to talk about this? What's the worst I'm going to say? Nope. Maybe I'd say, okay, it'll cost you $1 million. That's the same as nope, probably. No big deal. Maybe I say, yeah, I have 30 minutes. I have 22 minutes right now. And boom, now all of a sudden you're getting my expertise on your situation, right? And now you have somebody you can call in the future too, perhaps. So LinkedIn is a place to be bold. Ask questions when you need help of the people that you need help from. Ask for introductions to people that you want to meet. This is referral networking. This is referral marketing. This is referral sales, or in your world, referral fundraising. If there is somebody that you know gives to other organizations in your community or in your niche, and you don't know them, connect with somebody on LinkedIn that does, or find somebody that you know that does and say, hey, I would like an introduction to Jeff. I know he helped Steve Bergquist with the feeding program in Renton, and I'm trying to start a feeding program. Can you introduce me to Jeff? Yeah, go for it. I mean, be bold, right? That's what you're looking for. You just got to go chase after it. It's a great way to recruit board members, partners, donors, employees, all that kind of thing. Top volunteers. You can go scope them out. You can search for them on LinkedIn. You can search by, if you're looking to find people who have participated with a peer organization or an organization that's done some sort of event that you want to do, go find those people who have interacted or list on their volunteer experience that they've done it before. Just go find them. Just go search on LinkedIn for their past companies or their past experience, and then reach out to them. It's that simple. You might have to connect with them to be able to send them a message, but no problem. You know how to hit the connect button and put in a 1 sentence on why you'd like to connect. So let's talk just for 1 minute about donors, which is really fundraising, which is really sales. If you know what the demographics of your donors is, or you have these groups, maybe you have several groups of donors. Maybe they have this specific kind of job, they're in this specific kind of geography, they've worked at these certain types of businesses in the past. Maybe they've achieved certain things. Maybe they're a certain age. I mean, we're just talking about demographics, right? This is what we do in sales. We try to get as much advantage as we can. So go look at your donors. Think about LinkedIn. Who of those donor groups are going to be on LinkedIn? Now go search for them. And now go connect with them. And consider them a strategic contact and start interacting with them. And one day maybe you send them a message and you say, hey, we have an event coming up. We have this online fundraiser coming up. We're having to pivot our fundraiser this year, and I would love for you to be involved. Would you consider scoping us out and letting me know if this is something you think you would like to support, or if maybe you know a close friend who would like to support my organization somehow. This is sales. In your world, that's called fundraising. And you're using your ability to connect with people in LinkedIn to get to a whole new audience you never had before. And this is something that you can establish as a process that you can write down in a Google Doc or however, however you're keeping your organizational knowledge. And now you could hire an entry-level person to go execute this process for you on LinkedIn, for example. You may be able to have a volunteer that's a trusted professional style volunteer be able to execute this for you. And now you've automated part of your sales process, which is your fundraising process. So that's one of the things you can use LinkedIn for when you have this base of a company page and personal profiles, you've linked them up, you're going to look good on LinkedIn. Because when you reach out to me, if you were to reach out to me with something like that, the first thing I'm going to go do is I'm going to go click on your profile. Like, who is this person? If I don't know you very well, I'm going to go look at your profile. Like, is this legit? I'm being asked for money all of a sudden or to come to some event. I don't know about this. I'm going to look at your profile. I'm going to, oh, this looks totally legit. And oh, yeah, here's the organization. Boom. I'm going to be on your company page or I'm going to be on your website. Okay, yeah, I suppose I'll get back to Diane. I'll get back to Stacy. Let's see where this goes. So now we've really gotten to a gem on LinkedIn of how you can interact. So again, what's the number one takeaway on this slide? It's to be bold. Because by being bold on LinkedIn, you can achieve things for your organization. By being bold, if we just talk about personally, by being bold on LinkedIn, personally, you can achieve things for your career. Okay, that's how you need to be thinking about LinkedIn. Okay, next steps. Let me get back to sharing with you. I'm going to do next steps, and then we'll do questions. I hope you have them. I'm sure that you do. Okay, so if you come to this webinar today and you listen this whole time, maybe you got up and got coffee halfway through, whatever, you spent the time connected, you spent the internet bandwidth, it's completely worthless if you don't do anything with this. So you need to do something with this in the next 72 hours. Go pop open your calendar, go put 30 minutes on your calendar to do something on LinkedIn. Just put LinkedIn on your calendar. What are you going to do? Make a simple plan for how you're going to improve your personal profile. Write down a list of the things you feel like you need to do to get your nonprofit represented well on LinkedIn. I said a lot of once a month stuff. As a leader at a nonprofit, I would encourage you to spend an hour a week on LinkedIn until you determine it's a waste of your time. If you determine it's a waste of your time, good. Run away, don't spend any more time on it. But what you might find is that it's really worth your time and you want to get volunteers and other people engaged on LinkedIn because you're able to leverage LinkedIn for staff, for board members, for all sorts of things. Thank you, Samantha. So that's what you got to do. You got to take an action to make sure that you get something out of this. If you just say that was nice and next time when I log into LinkedIn I'll do something, you're missing the opportunity here. Either be deliberate or run away. Okay. I want to bring you back to what it is we do, and I'm saying this because I want to help nonprofits stay in business. We're helping nonprofits at Asset Lab Marketing. We're helping nonprofits make the transition to online and virtual fundraisers and events. So if you know somebody who is close to you that is doing this sort of thing, we can help them make that transition and continue to raise a bunch of money. We're working with Edmonds Community College right now, for example, and their $200 a plate auction dinner, which raises $400,000 to $500,000 a year, is gone because people can't get together. And so we've got an online virtual event format that we're going to run, and the target is $240,000 in revenue. And so we have to do something to keep that organization going. If you know of somebody who's at an organization trying to figure out what they're going to do to keep money coming in, I'd love to have that connection to see if it's something we can help with. So let's get back to LinkedIn questions. So feel free to open it up and ask me whatever's on your mind at this point.
So I have a question. I'm at Luther's table and we have closed at this point, but we're hoping to reopen as the governor allows. if we made ourselves available for small group, like if they limited us to 50 people to a group, is that something you put on LinkedIn then, saying we have a facility available for small group fundraisers, or is that the kind of thing you do?
I would represent that in the description on the company page.
You
I think
would?
LinkedIn, I would put that in the company description on the LinkedIn page.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth a post.
Okay.
I mean, it may be, hey, we're opening in a new way to support you during this interesting time. If you have, if you are looking for a space of up to this many people, we've got that for you, including kitchen and food service and whatever else your amenities are.
Okay.
But just realize that LinkedIn is not where people are going to come to get that information.
Okay.
They're going to be doing Google searches. They're going to be coming to a website. They're going to be looking at the Google My Business profile. They're going to be looking at Yelp. So it's more important to have that information in those other places and to be communicating it to people that way. Your email list, those are all very important places for that. Even your Facebook page is going to get hit more by people who are evaluating your services and your products than your LinkedIn will.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeff. This is Stacy from the American Cancer Society, and I just had a question about kind of like promotion of nonprofit events on LinkedIn. Like, what's your stance on that, and if we should be promoting that way, or if we should tone it down and do more like, I guess, like how you were saying, like smaller scale things on our personal LinkedIns?
I would, my question would be, what's your goal? What is it that you're trying to promote? Like more specifically, because I know you're trying to do something, not just quote unquote promote your organization.
Yeah, so what I'm referring to is, like in the past, I've like promoted our like smaller fundraising events and like kickoffs and bigger events too, like on my LinkedIn to share with my network just to get, I guess, more awareness. But usually when I do these things, I don't get very many like interactions, or I would like hits on them, I guess. So what's your stance on that?
So if you've done it, so here's what I heard in that. If you've shared something that is upcoming on LinkedIn a few times, and it's not really a place where you get a good reaction, then LinkedIn's probably a better place to be sharing that as an achievement than as a recruiting, recruiting attendees, recruiting donations, whatever. It's probably better to represent it as a success story or an achievement rather than an ask. That ask is going to be better other places. There's a lot more to this conversation, like what is it you're pitching? Because remember on social media, the fundamental principle of marketing is that if you're trying to market on social media, you have to be providing somebody that is using that platform with something they want to see. So when I go to Instagram, I'm not into memes. Most people aren't that use Instagram. I mean, there's memes on Instagram and there's, people doing motivational messages and stuff, and that's cool. But we're really there for pictures. We're really there for videos of interesting visual things. So if you can give me an interesting visual thing on Instagram as a user, you're in the right spot. On LinkedIn, you need to remember these people are in their corporate mindset. So if you can give them something interesting in that corporate mindset, then you've got a potential for a match and to get good engagement. If you find that people in that corporate mindset don't resonate with what you're putting out there, then I would represent that as an achievement and go do your marketing for attendees or donations in other places.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, the principle behind that is what we call test and learn. Same principle you'd use for advertising or social media or whatever. I'm going to go try things, and I'm not going to put a huge investment in, but I'm going to go try things. And the things that don't work, I'm going to throw away. And the things that do work, I'm going to do more of. And I'm going to do 10 more experiments next week to try to find things that work.
Are there any more questions for Jeff? Okay. It's so awkward because I can't see everyone's faces. Thank you so much, Jeff, for telling us all that information. It was a lot to digest, and now I can go do that instead of working on my budget. I'd much prefer to work on my LinkedIn profile for my company than the budget that I have to work on. So thanks
Sounds
for
like a
giving
great
me something
calling
more
back.
fun to do.
Yeah, great.
So I think we will go into program updates, and I'll take how Diane did it last time, and maybe I will just call on people as they show up on the screen so that we don't have a bunch of people talking at the same time. We have about 24 minutes left in our scheduled time, so if you can kind of keep your update to 2 minutes, I think we can get everyone in, and I will put in the group chat who's up next. So Kim, do you have an update for Luther's Table?
I do. As I said, we've closed the whole month of April, and it looks like it will also be closed the whole month of May for our general business, which is very scary for us. We obviously, as a nonprofit, rely on being open. And the interesting thing is we were doing so well at the end of March, better than we've ever done financially. And it was almost as if we were set up for this because we've been allowed to keep our 2 full-time employees at full employment for both April, and we will also in May. So it's a bit of a breath of relief because we hate to lose those people. Our part-time people are somewhat employed, but their hours are reduced. We only have 2 of those and they work minimal hours anyway. So we're trying to figure that one out. But while we've been closed, we've been doing fundraising for the fact that we are doing a feeding program for those people that have no home. And so the Center of Hope right now is up at St. Matthew's, but they aren't providing food for them. But we're doing hot meals, and Center of Hope is for women and children. So we send 60 meals up there 6 nights a week. And we also were feeding the Arise men's program, but they've moved on to Tukwila and are being handled by another group. So we've been able then to also feed those veterans that are living above Luther's Table. So because a lot of their resources have dried up as well. So we're able to still do what our mission is, and it's to create community and to feed people. So in that part, we're feeling pretty good about that. So I think that's probably it at this point. We're just wondering what the summer's going to bring. We're hoping that it lightens up or reduces the restrictions so that we can maybe have, like we used to, groups of 50. And then we thought, we just met last night and we thought, oh, maybe we could do some kind of special event where you bought tickets every Saturday night for dinner and a jazz show or something like that, but only for 50. And if we did it that way, we wouldn't have to tell the 51st person that just showed up randomly, sorry, you can't come. But instead we do it as a ticketed sale. So we're looking at all kinds of options, but the future's looking a little frightening past May. That's it.
Okay. So Sarah, you want me to go next? Sarah, did you want me to go next?
I say
Okay.
go for
Okay. So communities and schools, Renton, Tukwila, we established an emergency fund for the families that we serve. We've raised a little over $50,000 in the last few weeks due to community support, and we have a team of volunteers who are doing grocery card delivery, and we've also partnered with Northwest Harvest to donate weekend food bags to the families that we serve. We've also partnered with the Renton Innovation Zone partnership, helping them put up a form online so that the families outside of our network are able to connect to that and request support. It has been going tremendously well. And now we're starting to think of moving that from transitional support to sustainable support, because things are not going to go back the way they were anytime soon. So what does it look like as we transfer out of emergency into the next phase of support? So traditionally, our site staff support students with non-academic barriers to success, and they support them inside the school buildings. And so now that school buildings are closed, much like schools are transferring to distance learning, we are transferring to transitional distance support, where our site staff are calling families regularly, checking in with them, seeing what their needs are, connecting them to the ever-changing resources out there, because those are changing daily and they're hard to keep up with, and things like that. And we're really thrilled and proud and grateful to be working with the Renton Chamber on some restaurant connections. Diana's been talking to me nearly daily, which has been incredible. There are a bunch of restaurants who want to feed families and folks in the community who want to support restaurants. So it's a nice chain of support of individuals wanting to help restaurants and keep their businesses afloat, and restaurants wanting to help feed families. So we got more feedback than anticipated this week. So hopefully this will go well. Diana's been working to get restaurant support. So I want to say thank you to Diane and thank you to the Chamber. You guys have really shown up for us in a huge way, and really shown up for not just the business community, but for all the students and families as well. So thank you so much. And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Kathy. Sorry, I was having some tech issues and my everything just froze and I couldn't touch anything. So, Stacy, do you have an update?
Yeah, so I'm with the American Cancer Society, and right now our events through May and June have either been suspended or moved virtual. So that those are our Relay for Life events. Our breast cancer walk and our kids construction fundraiser are set to be in the fall still, so we don't really know what's going to happen with those. But for now, our 1-800 hotline that supports cancer patients and survivors is still operating 24/7, and that's one way that we're still supporting the community. Other than that, you know, we're just trying to see what's going to happen in the months to come, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Natalie, did you have an update?
Okay, so we postponed our breakfast, which was scheduled for May 7th, and are concentrating on Celebrate 18, which will be held in July on the 18th in Auburn. So all our efforts are going there as well, and then just trying to keep up with the girls during this distancing season so that they know that we're still supporting them. That's me.
Okay, you guys are faster than I can go through my list here. So it looks like, Michelle, are you still on?
Michelle left.
Her name's still showing up on my list. So Victoria.
But she, hey, Sarah, Michelle did leave a chat. She said that.
Oh, see that.
You see it? Can you see it? Okay, Michelle said, hold on. Okay, so Michelle said that Dance for the Cure is, okay, update for me since I have to go. For Cure 2021, Dance to Come, we are still accepting donations, and she gives the location that will go straight to Fred Hunt Cancer Research. The good news, at least we have a good amount of planning completed for next year since we had to cancel this year's. And then I just hit the wrong button, but I think that was all. So that's, oh, here it is. Yeah, so planning, we had to cancel this year's. And what's after that? Take care, everyone. Miss seeing you all in person. Michelle.
Great. Thank you for sharing Michelle's update. Victoria, did you have more to add?
I did. Well, also, yeah, with the American Cancer Society, community development, like Stacy. And yeah, she basically covered a big part of it, that all those physical events aren't happening. It's really tough because these next 2 months are typically when most of our events are and when we are bringing in most of our funds. So we are kind of doing two things. Some of our events throughout locally and across the nation are trying to do virtual. So we're kind of learning all the ways to do things virtual and still engage our participants and donors. And then we do have some things postponed to the fall, which is still now a little worrisome, but if things do improve, as of now, the local Renton Relay is rescheduled for Saturday, September 19th. But we are just, like we said, taking it day by day because we don't know if things are going to improve by then. But we are still looking for funds. We know all nonprofits are really struggling during this time, and all of us do need to move our mission forward. So we are trying to find those who do have capacity to give and try to find those people and see what we can do so we can continue moving our mission forward.
Thank you. Gabe, do you have an update?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for including me on this Zoom meeting. First Financial is closing in on our last week and a half of focusing on nonprofits in the areas that we have branches. So we have 13 locations throughout the the Puget Sound area. We've focused on one nonprofit every day for Dress Down for Charity. So meaning employees of the bank will donate a minimum of $3 if they feel led to. There have been some updates. We've are still accepting donations from customers or board members or anyone who's even a non-customer that wants to donate to any of the nonprofits that are being focused on. The deadline is May 1st, but it's a pretty loose deadline because we want to make sure that we get in as many donations as possible. We found out about 2 weeks ago that First Financial Northwest Bank, the board will be matching all of the donations. So we're at 15,000, a little over 15,000 right now. So it's at 30,000. It's not all divided evenly, but over 30 nonprofits, it's going to be a pretty substantial donation per nonprofit. Of course, all of our auction events that we had planned throughout the year, even into October, November, are being canceled still. So, good on you, Jeff, for showing folks that are switching all of their auctions and charity events, galas to online. I think that's a huge resource for folks right now. A quick update with the payroll protection plan. There are nonprofits that are being approved. First Financial isn't accepting any applications yet, but I'm hopeful that Congress will fund the payroll protection plan because nonprofits are included in that. We did see a huge response from customers and non-customers. We do require that you have at least an account with us before application, but there's no way to apply yet again, but we have a ton of pending applications. So I'm encouraged to see like Renton Ecumenical Churches Association was on that list of approved. In Berrien, the Environmental Science Center, there's a lot of food banks that have requested donations as well. So there's some really amazing, generous work going on for the folks that are able to give and that are able to get funding. So yeah, it's really encouraging, but anyone that has questions about payroll protection plan, nonprofit banking, or even just resources that are out there, shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'll have my contact information in the chat for my business card. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. Angela, ready?
Good morning, everybody. My report will be pretty short because we were already operating online. Our workshops at Sanford, as you probably may know, are online and in person all the time. So I just came home to work and kept doing what I'm doing. We are offering our monthly workshop still, and the next one is next week. I was trying to figure out a way to be relevant, so we put together a panel of fundraisers who have had to make changes to their plans, their operations, and one of them is our very own president, Sarah McNeish, is going to speak on this panel. So we'll do half the hour for panelists and half an hour of Q&A. So if you have questions of fundraisers or want to talk to your peers or whatever, I'm hopefully offering you the space to do it. The 30th noon, I'll put the link in the chat box. We'd love to see you. Thank you.
Sorry, Chris, do you have an update? I was trying to type it in and didn't type it in fast enough.
No worries at all. Thank you. I hope everyone's having a good day and staying sane out there. So as a heads up, I'm from Eastside Legal Assistance Program. We do free civil legal aid for low-income clients. We are still open to have clients speak with attorneys about different legal topics. So family law, bankruptcy, immigration, and general law, landlord-tenant issues, Medicare, Medicaid. One thing I'm going to type in the chat, we recently started doing, we previously would do know your rights presentations, but generally that requires you to be in front of a lot of people. And so what we've actually done is we moved to webinars. And so I've posted a link for that on our page. We just did one yesterday about public benefits with solid ground, and that'll be up by the end of the day, hopefully. You can kind of follow the link on the website. We're trying to do these every Tuesday from here until, I guess, whenever. And the next one's going to be on Social Security disability benefits with someone from the Benefits Law Center. If there are topics, and that's one thing I wanted to ask, if there are topics that you're seeing for communities, you know, in the Renton area, I would love to kind of hear what topics we should be covering as a legal aid organization. Yeah, that's my pitch. Thank you all. Oh, and I also, sorry, before I forget, I also put our phone number for anyone that needs civil legal aid in those issues. So thank you.
Good morning, this is Megan from RANU. The only update that I have, I mean, we're obviously all working remotely. We'll probably graduate our current class that's in Kent. There's 21 students in that class. We'll probably graduate them in 2 weeks and do a virtual graduation like we did with the class in Seattle, which actually turned out really well. And then we're moving our Diversity and Inclusion Summit into a virtual web series that will start May 12th. So we have 9 speakers, we have an opening keynote, we have an ending keynote, and I should have the flyer and the link to the web series and different workshops that we're offering, hopefully by Monday. I'll share that with Diane. And then we're hopefully just waiting to hear about the stay-at-home order, obviously, but our classes both in Seattle and Kent would start June 1st. So that's our updates so far.
Thanks, Megan. So from the chamber, as Megan indicated, she's going to provide updates to the chamber. So make sure if you have things that are going on that you send them over. Likewise, if you update your listing in Chamber Master for your business or nonprofit, if you're a chamber member, it will create a listing on the chamber's home landing page. So it's an opportunity to get your business or nonprofit out in front of people as soon as they get to the website. If you need me to resend you a link to access your Chamber Master account, please don't hesitate to send me a note to ask me to do so. Likewise, if you have anyone else from your organization that you would like to add to the distribution list, please send their name and contact information over and we can put that in too. We have some things that are going on. The chamber is still closed with the visitor center, but we're still working remotely. We have a couple things that are upcoming tonight at 6 p.m. You can watch live on YouTube. Ben Andrews has taken, it's called Renton Live, and it is the pilot episode of what he hopes to be repeat episodes highlighting businesses, events in the community. The mayor will be on tonight, the police chief, the fire chief. Jeremy Bryant from Rain City Catering will be cooking a meal. It stemmed from having online cooking courses for our restaurants and has now will highlight Boon Boona Coffee. So just a way to get people involved. Again, that's streaming live at 6 o'clock tonight through YouTube. We have tomorrow a business development opportunity, and it's James Alberson from Top Tier Training and Development. He's also our outgoing chair and on the Planning Commission for the City of Renton. He will be talking about changing your approach to stay contemporary and current and sensitive under the current environment that we're in, as far as those that are still in sales. Thursday, we will be hosting in the Chamber Zoom room the Renton Rotary weekly meeting. So do know that that's an option on a somewhat limited capacity for nonprofits if you have a meeting that you need to facilitate or jumpstart so your organization can learn. We're happy to walk you through those initial stages of Zoom or your members. We have a fitness challenge that's coming to Renton, and the gyms are meeting virtually on Fridays, and that information will be in the e-blast that's coming out. Should be something to look forward to. We have our monthly ambassador meeting on May 5th. Another thing that is brand new, we have Mary Clymer. Many of you know her. She's involved with the Arts Commission and former business of Happy Delusions. She's from a pioneer family. She's going to be doing a chamber blog for us about twice a week. And so stay tuned for that. And then always there is the reminder about the census. So encourage your clients, your customers, your coworkers to complete that census. That's really important. And that is all I have.
Great. Did I miss anyone? Okay, I think I got everyone. So MSC is still providing services. Most stuff is remote. Not too much to update, hoping that we are able to get back to some sense of normalcy soon. But looking at long-term impacts is kind of where we're focusing on now. And hoping that we can still hold our event in October, because that does make us nervous as well. So that's pretty much it. The next meeting, I assume, is going to probably be via Zoom as well. It is scheduled for Wednesday, May 27th. The program is Accelerating Your Mission Strategies for Innovative Partnerships with Zachary Farron. I think that's how you say his last name, from Pima Medical Institute. So look for information on that coming out in the next couple of weeks. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being here and helping us learn how to use LinkedIn appropriately. And thank you all for joining us. I think that's it. Have a good rest of your day.
Before we leave, Jeff, I see that you put in the chat box the link for the slides, but I can't access that. Are you able to send that out via mail, or how else can we get that?
Yeah, you bet. I'll email that to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And we'll put the recording on the website. There's a RANU page that Darlene's been working on for our new page this month, and we'll put the recording from this meeting on there.
Thanks, Diane.
Okay. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. Talk to you soon.